Okay. They're cold. So, not as many thoughts on this debate as the last one. First off, it was a lot rowdier. There was a lot more interruptions. There was a lot more shouting. I'm a big fan of how Andrew Yang only got to speak like 5 times. I don't like him. Not because UBI is necessarily a bad idea, but because he wants to replace all of the social safety net stuff with UBI, and that won't really work. Hey, Switchy. Oh. So, Pete Buddha Bug or something, Mayor Pete guy, he did really good, all things considered. Sanders just did his, all of his usual stuff, all of his regular talking points. We have to take on the giant corporations. We have to defeat the special interests. And, like, I'm a big fan of that, so I'm not going to complain. Although, some people in the crowd did complain. And speaking of the crowd at the place I was at, really liked Camellia Harris's performance. By and far, they all thought it was a standout. But I was not exactly impressed. I thought she's a good, but I felt like there wasn't a whole lot of substance to what she was saying. She was just talking about her personal experiences and stuff. And, like, there's a lot of merit to that. There's a lot of merit to saying, listen, I know firsthand what segregation is like, and I want you to answer for that. But on the other hand, like, I don't know, when she was asked to give her own answers, I don't know that she gave them very well. There was the scientist guy who didn't like socialism. He kept saying, we can't do socialism. I don't think he understands socialism, so, like, he's out in my book. There was a woman, Marianne Williamson. She did something very similar to what I observed Warren did, and that is she had holistic answers for everything she was asked about. They weren't always good answers in a performative sense, but they were holistic. On the other hand, there's something about her, like, in the back of my head. You know what it is? She kind of reminds me of, her presentation and her style kind of reminds me of, the mayor guy. What was that guy's name? Where are my notes from yesterday? Over here. Is that it? That is not it. Is this it? Yes, that's part of it. De Blasio. She reminded me of de Blasio in her presentation. Not in, like, what she was saying, but how she said it. And that's going to nag the back of my mind. I'm gonna need to look her up, see what her deal is. Biden did exceptionally poorly. Not just in that, his answers were only par or subpar, but also in that, he got dogpiled by everyone. He got really hard dogpiled. One of the standout moments of the debates. One of the standout moments of this debate, the thing that people are going to remember, is Camellia Harris asking Biden why he supported, why he opposed busing for schools. And I had to explain that to a couple of really young people in the audience, because Biden came about that close to outright saying that he supports states' rights. Which, if you don't know, states' rights has always been, or at least since the 50s, 40s, 50s? Since segregation, states' rights has always been a racist dog whistle. Like, you'll even hear people, if you've ever heard that people claiming the Civil War was about states' rights. States' rights to what? But, yeah. He didn't own up to making a mistake, and he said that he wasn't supporting racist policy. Then he said, let me tell you why I support this racist policy. And that's not a good look. And then through the rest of the debate, he touted his bona fides. Almost everyone did this. Almost everyone, not just in this debate, but in the other debate too, were talking about their bona fides. Biden also said, if I recall correctly, Higgins said something that really pissed me off. He said that we need to reform ICE, which, no, you need to get rid of ICE, is what you need to do. But Biden, I'm fairly sure he said that we need to start putting CEOs in jail. It was him or it was someone else? It also, took him 3 times to say that people who don't commit crimes shouldn't be deported. Harris said right away, no, we're not going to deport people. If I'm president, we're not going to deport people who weren't committing crimes. So one of the problems, Sanders said some really substantial stuff, but a problem with Sanders' presentation, and again, entirely with his presentation, is that he repeats that same talking point all the time. We need to take on the special interests, we need to take on the corporations. And again, I'm a big fan of that. But doing that can drown out other policies that he has. I'm looking at my notes here. He said that we need to help Central America. And I think, if I recall correctly, he specifically said we need to get the leaders of the countries in Central America together and help them figure out how to get their shit together, or something along those lines. Which... It's a better idea than supporting death squads, I guess, unless it leads to supporting death squads. I trust Sanders enough to believe that he's being honest when he says he wants to help these countries, but, Reagan said the same thing when they were supporting those death squads in El Salvador. It came up Buttigieg, or the Mayor Pete guy. I'm gonna have to look up how to pronounce his name. It came up, that there was a shooting in his thing recently, and his response was not good. I thought that he had a good response to that. He said, "There's a limit to what I can do as a person, not just in my capacity as mayor, but as president. But I'm going to do as much as I can." I thought that was a good answer. I thought that was an honest and a vulnerable answer. I like it when people acknowledge that, regardless of what their office is, I like it when people acknowledge that their power has limits. And I'm not a big fan of how Higgins told him, "Oh, well, I did the thing." I get what he was getting at, but again, this is the anarchist speaking, different platforms for different situations. What's going to work one place isn't necessarily going to work everywhere. Yeah. I think everyone agreed I don't think anyone disagreed. I think they all agreed that we need to start doing something about gun violence, specifically doing a assault weapons ban. A couple people brought up background checks and stuff. Works. That's good. But yeah, like the second part of the debate, right after Kamala Harris called him out, Biden just pulled back to talking about his bona fides, about the things that he'd accomplished during his decades in office. And that led to another one of my favorite moments in the debate, where it was actually two. Biden made the mistake of bragging about how he was able to work with fishy Mitch McConnell. What was that? Biden was bragging about how he was able to work with Mitch McConnell to pass a tax bill. And someone else, let me find it. Spam power, dangerous weapons, gun crisis. Yeah, I have a note here. His response to Harris. Apologies for the bad handwriting. It says, "Ooh, bad." Bennett said that Mitch McConnell fooled Biden because the tax bill was harmful to people. And then, like, almost at the end, right before their final statements, Biden was talking about how he opposes war, and how he specifically opposes war because of how the situation in Iraq went. And then Sanders went, "Young man, I've been supporting anti-war efforts since I came out of my mother's womb back in 1892. I've been anti-war for longer than anyone else in this entire auditorium has been alive." Sanders wasn't born in 1892. That would make him like 100 and... make him, 10, 20, 126? 126? 127 years old. 127 years old. Wow. I'm very tired. But yeah, overall, this was neither as substantive, their talk about things was not as substantive, or even as entertaining as it was last night. I hope... Not gonna say that. I hope that when they start calling people out of the debate, out of the debate logs, that they start doing better. Oh, and Yang only got to talk like 5 times, which is great. That he only needed to say anything twice. He only has the one thing, really, the killing all of our social safety nets thing. So, fuck that guy. Alright, next video. So the next video I'm gonna make, the next video that's going to come out is a video on Saturday, and that's going to be about my relationship with God. Which is going to be another punch to the gut, because that goes back to that a lot of that has to do with personal trauma on my part too. After that, I need to make the cop video too, don't I? You know, I've been thinking about that, and I've been thinking about what I can do for next month. Like, things I can talk about next month, and, like, I feel like I know enough about, the issues to talk about the struggles that non-white people face in some specific capacity. And I might just make the cop video the first video in that subject, but I haven't decided. Still gonna do it. The script's still written. It's just, like, people have been talking about how, like, LeftTube isn't a welcome place for people of color, exactly. Not that it's unwelcome, it's just that it's not for them, and how to make it more inclusive. And I feel like, as someone who's very active, as someone who was invited out to view publicly the presidential debates by activist groups, I feel, as someone who's active in the community and who is familiar with the struggles that people face, I feel like that's something I could do to help move the bar a little bit in the other direction. So yeah, tell me what you think about that. Which is to say, tell me why that's a horrible idea and you're going to cancel me if I do it. And until we get there, take care of yourselves, alright?